In the previous session, you discovered that VBA provides 4 categories of operators that you can use to put together formulas in your macros. Those categories are arithmetic, string, comparison, and logical operators. I discussed the first 2 of these categories in some detail in the previous session. In this session, I introduce you to the other 2 categories. Let's take a look first at the comparison operators. The comparison operators are used when you want to know the magnitude of one variable compared to another. For instance, does variable 1 contain a value which is larger, smaller, or exactly equal to variable 2? That's the kind of question to which a comparison operator provides an answer. The result of any comparison can only be true or false, a fact that makes these operators very powerful in VBA. In addition, comparison operators can be used on either numeric values or text values. The 6 comparison operators are as follows: the equal sign, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and finally, not equal. The equal operator is fairly straightforward. Just remember that equal really does mean equal. If 2 values differ by even the slightest amount, they are not evaluated as equal. For instance, the 2 values 4.0 and 4.000000001 may look almost the same, but the values stored in your computer's memory are different, and therefore they are not equal. When using the greater than and less than operators, remember that any negative number is less than any positive number. Now this is pretty easy to remember if you picture all numbers placed on a number line like the one on the wall behind me. The line has 0 in the middle, and the positive numbers, 1, 2, 3, and so on, to the right, and the negative numbers, -1, -2, -3, and so on, heading off to the left. Pick any 2 numbers on this number line, and the one on the left is always less, and the one on the right is always more. The not equal operator tells you if any 2 variables are different, even by the slightest amount. Not equal can be used to determine if 2 dates or times are the same, if 2 files have identical names, or if the length of 2 files differ. It can be used anywhere you need to know if there's the slightest difference. I've got the companion workbook to this session already open on the screen here, and I want to go and take a look at this VBA Operators tab down here. Now you've seen the content within this tab before in the previous session in the course, but I want to talk specifically about the VBA operators that are used for logical operations. If I go down here, I can see that I have a whole group of logical ones right down at the bottom of the table here. In fact, there are 6 of them: the AND operator, the OR operator, the XOR, which means exclusive OR operator, the EQV operator, which means equivalent, the IMP operator, which means implication, and the NOT operator, which is the logical opposite of whatever you're working with. Normally, VBA's logical operators are used in some sort of a logical construct within your macro code, such as an if-then construct. Now, I cover these constructs in a later session in the course, but a quick overview is provided in the example that you can see if you go take a look at the Visual Basic Editor. I have Module 1 open here. It's got a single macro in it called Test Logical. And basically what we do is we set up 5 different variables at the beginning of the macro for age, gender, pet, name, and then just stemp as a string to work with. We set the values in 4 of those variables right down here. We set the age equal to 32, the gender equal to F for female, the pet equal to cat, and the name equal to Tiffany. Then we set the stemp variable equal to a default value that we want to use for our message box, which is still looking for the right candidate. Then we use an if end if construct, or an if-then construct right down here, to test out those values. And notice that we have parentheses around each of the things that we want to test. In the first line, it just says if the age is less than 40 and the gender is equal to F or female and the pet is equal to dog, then what we do is we change what is stored in stemp so that when we display that stemp variable, it'll be indicating that we found whoever our candidate is. Now notice that one of the tests here is that pet must be equal to dog. So pet is set equal to cat further up in the macro. So when we get to that particular test, it's going to return false. So age less than 40 is going to return true. Gender equal F is going to return true, but pet equals dog is going to return false. And true and false will still all evaluate to false, so we will never get to the inside of this if-then construct. I'm going to go ahead and run this so that you can see exactly what it does. And it says that we're still looking for the right candidate, and it says that because, again, it failed this test over here where we expected pet to be equal to dog. But I can go up here if I want to, and let's say that Tiffany has decided to trade in that cat for a dog, and I'm going to change it to dog right there. And now if I run the macro, all three of these tests should come up as true, and therefore we should have a true condition, and so we're going to get the stemp variable set to something different. So I'm going to go ahead and run that, and sure enough you can see that it tells us that Tiffany is our candidate because she met all three of the criteria that we were looking for. I'll bet all this talk about operators makes you wish you hadn't slept through Mr. Smith's junior high algebra class, huh? Well, assuming you didn't really sleep through the class, working with them should be a snap for you. And if you did sleep through the class, well, then you should be able to catch up in short order. Just remember that variables contain values of one type or another, and you can use the operators to affect those values or to determine the relationships between them. In this session and the last, you discovered that VBA provides you with a large assortment of operators that you can use to put together formulas in your macros. These aren't formulas destined for worksheets, but formulas that run behind the scenes in your macro to process data quickly and easily. In the next section of the course, I'll introduce you to the power of VBA functions that you can harness for your use in macros.